Hi everyone, this is Vishali Jha. I'm the founder and president of Carriage, and today we are here with Ziyaan Virji.
Hi everyone, I'm Zian. I'm the founder of Leaders of Today, and we're on a mission to build one of the largest communities of young leaders around the world.
All right, so Ziyaan, would you like to tell us more about what inspired you to start or create this organization and how you've been revolutionizing your society?
Yeah, for sure. So my background's from East Africa. I was born and raised in Tanzania. And then I moved to um Kenya when I was 15, as part of like boarding school. And during my time in boarding school, I had an opportunity to start my own project. I could do anything of my choice, and that's when I came across this documentary on Al Jazeera named India's Menstruation Man. That's when I first learned about menstrual health and the fact that girls and menstruators around the world don't have access to products. And I had a conversation with my mom about it, and she told me that when she was younger, she grew up in a single parent household in India, and there was a point in her life where she couldn't afford access to products, and she would use old rags and blankets when she would get her period, and so um, that kind of inspired me to start my own nonprofit. It's been 7 years since then, and For the Menstruator has grown to over 25,000 people in 10 countries around the world. And a couple of years ago, so as part of that work, I basically had a lot of opportunities. I worked in climate, health, education, in the nonprofit space, and my work through all these organizations was able to reach almost like 500,000 people. And then a couple of years ago, I decided to take a bit of a step back and reevaluate really what my goals are. And I felt like I was in a bit of my comfort zone with some of the work that I was doing, and that's when I decided that I want to, start something new. And that's what kind of brought about Leaders of Today. So Leaders of Today basically stem from the idea that in my own journey from East Africa in the youth leadership space, I found it very hard to find access to opportunities and resources compared to my peers in different parts of the world. And then I also felt a lack of sense of community just doing the type of work that I was doing. The people around me would understand it. My friends never got it, and so it felt very lonely in those last couple of years. And that's when I'm like, you know what, how about, I'm sure I'm not the only one struggling with this issue, and how about I start something to help solve that. And so we started Leaders of Today as a podcast, but eventually it turned out to become a community that has a newsletter with over 100,000 subscribers. We do a lot of in-person events to build a sense of community, and we also have a consulting side to our business where we consult with different brands and organizations on how to engage young people and meaningfully work with them.
Wow, that seems so that's really inspiring. I'm actually really honored about how you started a women health organization as a guy. Like it's just wow. Like and also how did you get did you get your friends involved or anything? Because I know some people try to shy away from all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. At the time, I never knew about periods or menstrual health as a whole. Like, I didn't know that was an issue. I didn't know what it actually meant. And so yeah, initially, especially after I watched the documentary, I did a lot of research. A lot of my friends who are girls and menstruators, like, I'd ask them a lot of questions, and they're super supportive. And a lot of our team members initially are or mostly girls that menstruate, and so as much as I'm not a menstruator, I think I definitely men have a huge role to play in this issue because of how society is structured. Men are still, breadwinners in a lot of families. in leadership positions, it's a lot of men, and if they don't understand how big of an issue it is, then all of the policies or all of the ways that they do stuff or the companies that they run like aren't catered for the needs of someone that does menstruate. And so a lot of my work was, how do we, break the taboo and stigmas associated with this issue? How do we spread awareness? How do we educate men and get them involved, um even from like an education and policy perspective, right? And so yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's really nice. Would you like to share like a story or like about like an obstacle or challenge you faced through like your enormous involvement in like commensable work?
Yeah, I think with a lot of my work in For the Menstruator, um there are a lot of challenges. Some of them include, a lack of funding. And so in our early days, we used to actually sell shawarmas at our school events in order to make money, because if we go to donors or we go to sponsors, a lot of them be like, you're just a 15-year-old, like why you trying to do this, and you're a guy, like you shouldn't even be talking or working on this issue, right? So a lot of people didn't understand at the time, and I'm like, it was so hard to get funding. They call my age and my gender, and so I'm like, we used to shawarmas used to be very popular at our school, and we were like, you know what, how about we sell these at our events every Friday, and every week would make $300 $400, and then use that to for all of the work that we were doing. And so
Oh,
that was some of the early days of our organization. A big challenge we also faced was, after my first year on working on this issue, I spent a lot of time, doing research, trying to come up with this product. We came up with a product that would last for 6 months, and initially distributed it to 22 menstruators um, in Tanzania. And after that first distribution, I because of the school project, I presented it. I got a good grade for it. Felt really good about myself by about doing this work. But then when I went back to that community and asked them for feedback, I found out that they thought I actually contributed more to the problem than solving it. And I think that is such a big example of, like, one, a lot of people that are in the space, or like just in general, a lot of men that are trying to solve like female issues, don't really understand the root cause or that whole experience, and they don't spend the time to listen to the communities that they're serving, right?
yeah.
And that was a big mistake that I had made. I'd assumed that, okay, these are their needs, and this is the perfect product that they will require, but I didn't spend time with them to actually build it with them, right? And so they say there were a lot of like complications with the product itself, but they also felt like I contributed more to the problem than solving it, because I basically created a reusable product that will last for 6 months. And after the 6 months, these menstruators would basically go back to the same old cycle that they were in. And in reality, I just created a dependency syndrome where they keep depending on me to come and help them out, right? And so
Mhm.
that's when I'm like, how about we how about we change that? We took a lot of feedback from them and a lot of other communities that we served, and we changed our product. We started up a team. We worked with a group of women with disabilities to redesign our products, and with them, we managed to come up with a new product that will last for 3 years, 100% biodegradable, extremely cost effective, and embarrassment free. And now these products come with all these different things, such as um, antiseptic soap, pairs of underwear, a waterproof bag. These are things I never considered were other challenges that the menstruators I was working with would face. And
Mhm.
then we also change our approach, and so now we just don't go into a community and give them these products. We spend time to understand their context, build a relationship with them. We host an educational workshop where we'll teach both girls and boys about menstrual health. We'll then give them the product. We'll teach them how to use and wash it. But what we also do is we teach them how to make their own. And so what this does is, we know, because we use locally available materials, after the 3 years that our product lasts, these menstruators now have the skills to make their own products, and that has an exponential effect, right? If there's 1,000
Yeah.
girls and we go in there and help 10, those 10 then pass it on to 10 others, and those 10 pass it on to 10 others, right? And so um and then we end with a celebration and review phase where we assess the impact of work, get feedback. And in some communities, we've actually created entrepreneurial opportunities where we, now that they have the skill on how to make these products, we they use the skill to then start small businesses for themselves, and sell it within their community so they can earn an income, and that eventually takes them out of the poverty cycle, right? And so um all of that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't spend time, understanding the needs of our communities that we work with, and put them at the center of it. But also wouldn't have been possible without the help of so many young people coming together working on this joint initiative, right? And as much as it may have been about me starting this organization, and a lot of it is a joint effort by so many young people around the world, and I definitely have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I started this nonprofit to like support foster care adolescents like throughout the nation, and it was like a really big challenge at first, and I had to get like a bunch of my friends involved, and just doing that, like stepping out of this zone that like that's like it's just like a hard thing because like foster care is like about like how like they might have some issues at home, they might have some like mental health problems or like some substance like dependency on drugs or alcohol. So going into that zone was a very difficult challenge, but i
Mm,
um I kind of just like went through and I got everyone involved, and we also led like fundraisers and wellness sessions with Art of Living, Trauma Relief, International Association of Human Values. So through that, we were able to like help at least like 200 children from San Jose, New York, and Idaho. So it was pretty
wow.
it was really relaxing too. It was like through these wellness sessions, but yeah, it was very inspiring to learn your story. I guess like what would you
No,
like?
yeah, for sure. I appreciate that, and thanks for sharing. I could definitely relate to that piece around, the different kind of challenges, and coming together uh to make a difference together, right?
Yeah, like, I honestly think, like, mental health is a really, like, common struggle that no one really takes seriously, and especially, like, I'm from India, like, basically, my family's from there, so everyone just has this very competitive mindset that you have to do the best in school, you have to have all these extracurriculars, get into Harvard somehow, and I'm like, "How can you do all that when you can't really take time for yourself?" And, like, just, like, just breathe, because like I feel like not everyone has the same path or the same journey to like a certain lifestyle. So yeah.
No, I get the piece around mental health. Yeah, I feel like, as you mentioned, in our culture, like, my parents are from India as well. I'm Indian too, and I feel like in a lot of, even in East Africa, like, the conversation around mental health is it's pretty stigmatized, and people don't really understand what it is, and you're kind of required to do everything at the cost of your well-being. And kind of tying on to that point, I think, even just as a young change maker, um there's not enough conversation around what does it mean to be a change maker at an early age, and the cost of doing that. And so for me, when I moved to Canada in 2021, I basically can't, like, when I moved here, I felt very burnt out, because from the ages of 15 to 19, those 4 years that were critical points of my life, I put in so much work and did all of these different things, but um I did it at the cost of my well-being, right? And taking care of myself. And so a lot of people don't talk about when you're working on such complex challenges, you also absorb some of those issues, and um you spend so much time working on all these different things that you don't have time to take care of yourself, and you don't even develop the tools and resources to be able to do that. So 100% I could uh understand that point around mental health.
Yeah, and I think the greatest lesson I've ever learned is having balance. So that's why like I whenever I have like some activities that I plan out for the team, I also plan out activities where oh yeah, I just need to take a rest or I just need to go on a walk. Like I feel like there should be balance between work, life, like professional life and also just like personal life. So yeah.
No,
I guess
100%,
like
I completely agree.
yeah, what advice would you have, like, for anyone who's like looking to start an organization or like any sort of nonprofit or just, do humanitarian work?
Sorry, do you mind repeating the last part?
Oh, yeah, sorry. What advice would you give to anyone who's like looking to start a nonprofit, as a young teenager or like, any sort of humanitarian work?
Yeah, I think the main advice that I would have is um there's a couple things. One, think about what your purpose and your why is. um I think doing this work takes a lot of effort, and there's a lot of ups and downs, right? And um you're committing a lot of time unpaid, and so you need to have a really strong why in order for you to continue that work. You really need to think about what is your purpose and why is it that you want to do it, and a lot of it is usually personal. And so for me, like, I didn't mention this, but right before I started any of this work, I went through an experience where I basically lost 3 weeks of my life, and um because I come so close to almost losing it all, I knew that I wanted to have a purpose that's greater than myself, and I found purpose in doing the social impact work that I was doing. And so I think everyone needs to start with why and think about what is their purpose, what is the legacy they want to leave behind, what is it that they want to be remembered for, and how is it that they can have an impact on people's lives. Um and then once you figure that out, starting small, a lot of people say I'm only X, Y, and Z age, or I'm only, I don't have the resources, or I'll do this when I'm older. But like, you don't have to be a certain gender or a certain age or come from a certain background in order to do meaningful work. And you don't have to wait until tomorrow to start it. Our whole thing around leaders of today is this idea that basically my grade 3 teacher used to say tomorrow never comes when I used to submit my math homework late. And she used to be like, hey, tomorrow never comes. Every time I'm like, I'll submit it tomorrow, I'll submit it tomorrow. And she's like, tomorrow never comes. And that kind of stuck with me over the years, because young people are always referred to as leaders of tomorrow, right? And our
Yeah.
whole concept around leaders of tomorrow is that we're not only leaders of tomorrow, we're leaders of today. And you don't have to wait. If you have an idea, if you have a passion, if you want to start something, you don't have to wait until tomorrow to start it. You can literally start today, and you can start now.
Mhm.
And so if anyone's listening to this conversation and is in that boat, I recommend them, start now and start super small. It can be as simple as starting a one-page document, putting it on paper, whatever the idea or concept is. And once you do that, then you can eventually build from that. So I think that's the main advice I have. And then also, thinking about how is it that there's only so much that you can do alone. There's like one of my great favorite proverbs is, um if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to no if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that concept just shows, like, especially as a young person, you can't do it alone. and you can't do it all. Like you really need to work with people around you that can help you get there. And I think that's a big realization.
Yeah, that sounds very like interesting. Yeah. I really liked your proverb, like if you want to go together, like I feel like as per me, like what if someone's trying to start a new nonprofit, I feel like the most important would be kind of just like, being very like I guess don't like don't like hold yourself back from taking risks, because I feel like, being out there, like putting yourself like don't be afraid, like because like I've my mom and everyone who has been a mentor to me has always said, just try to be better than the best. Like it's just like, keep going, it's a long journey. All right.
Yeah.
I guess like how would you ensure that there's responsibility and accountability taking place from your members in your organization?
Yeah, I think a big part of that is like before trying to grow your team, it's important to like make sure you have put in the structure and the processes to ensure that there's communication, to ensure that everyone feels valued, everyone feels like um, they're doing meaningful work, that everyone's on the same page, and making like we would have weekly meetings. Um, we would check in with everyone, would take out a lot of time for people to share how they're feeling and do a check in with them, but also would give agency to our team members, and it wouldn't be centralized. We would decentralize a lot of our work so that young people get the opportunities to lead. And because a lot of our work was also in different communities, um, the problem that you face in East Africa is very different from the problem you face in Pakistan or the problem that you face in the US, for example. And so for a lot of our work, we made sure that our team members are given the agency to contextualize their work and have leadership, and when they do need any support, we're there, but they're the leaders of their teams and the work that they do. And then that's something that we made sure um as well.
Yeah. I guess for me, for my organization, basically, we kind of like hold each other accountable. Like we just have certain roles that we provide in our team. And my team is kind of small, but we try to like have like a bigger outreach through like social media, like Instagram. So we have like a marketing team, a public relations team, and then through that, um, we've been pretty into contact. We've had like bondings and social gatherings where, we're just like a close knit team. So, yeah, I feel like the team can be really just dependent on how you want to run things. But I feel
Yeah.
like, the manager, like the founder of the nonprofit, has to be like, have a big vision. So, along with that, what do you plan for your nonprofit to like be like, in what place do you want it to be in the future?
Yeah, so for the menstruator, I've taken a lot of steps back. I'm more involved in a more advisory role, and so for that, I think just continuing the existing work we're doing, and then hopefully, have it at a point where I'm not completely involved and it's led by someone else completely. With Leaders of Today, we're not a nonprofit. We work as a for-profit venture, with just a social, kind of mission. Um, and the goal of Leaders of Today is, one, we hope to, create um, the largest community of young leaders, and it'll be nice to, have representation in every city around the world. Have a huge in person component to it. We want to maybe one day have like a physical space in every city where young people can go to and find community and do the work that they're doing and get support for it. Um, and so that's like the big long term vision is really that, and making sure that from a business point of view, it all makes like financial sense and every young person feels like they have access to resources and opportunities to achieve whatever they want to achieve, but also whilst they're doing that, they have a sense of community of like-minded young people. And so that's kind of the big goal for it, and we're slowly, moving the needle every day to do that, and that's where we are.
Wow, that seems really like, an amazing vision. Yeah, as for me, yeah, we hope to bring into the realm of like wellness and kind of just like helping more foster care centers around the nation and bring more awareness among that issue. And yeah, we also partnered with like neighboring tutoring centers and just like libraries. So, we've been having awareness sessions for kids young as like kindergarten. So it's been a journey from like where I started to now, and I hope to
Yeah.
like just bring it to the next level. And I'm always inspired by you. I guess do you have any other thoughts that you'd like to share?
No, I think the main thing is, just for any young person that's listening, don't let your age or your gender or your background stop you from achieving what you like to achieve. And the world is your oyster, and you can really do it. And you're such a great example of doing that. My journey, I hope, can be an example of doing that. And yeah, I love for people to check out Leaders of Today, and check out some of our work. And if they'd like to join our community, definitely, subscribe to our